Pointers, good morning, Boo Boo Bodacious. Hope you're doing well. Twa Dog, yo yo yo. Hope you're doing well. Nice to see you again. Hassan, indeed, good morning. B for victory. Indeed, it is a great morning, everyone. Lots of people streaming in. We should have more today. I finally figured out how to pair broadcasts. So apparently, I am properly getting rebroadcast here according to the comments. We'll see how it goes. We'll see if we get more people in this morning. Should be fun. Should be fun. So, as we get started, let me just confirm. I don't know if you can still see the sky based on where you are. If you're in New York City, it might be a little hard. I'm here in Montreal, and it is synced to on Twitter. It was always synced on Twitter, so that was fine. But what I'm wondering is it broadcasting on the Bitcoin Magazine YouTube channel? That's what I'm most curious about. So if anyone can see it through the Bitcoin Magazine YouTube channel, that would be excellent to have confirmation. There was a lag. Should be fine. We should be fine. We got a strong internet today. It would really suck if my first rebroadcast has lags and all this shit. So hopefully we should be fine. Everyone, please let me know how we're doing technically, because I will be more than a little angry if it's not working properly. So hard to figure this restream stuff out, but I finally figured it out. BTC Mag YouTube, good. Okay, that means we are running. Yes, finally figured it out. Great. Awesome. So let's get to it, everyone. Let's get to it. Now, I was mentioning, right, if you can't see the sky in New York, the good news is here in Montreal, where the smoke is coming from, it's all cleared away. So we got a bit of a gray sky. The orange is gone, right? But we're going to talk about that orange sky today. And maybe it was a simulation wink. We'll see. But all I know is the sun is up, Bitcoin's running, and all that's left for us to do is have a coffee and talk about what's new. So, as you know, and for anyone new here, we like to start every one of these morning coffee gatherings that we call the Breakup with the fakest news we can find. We call it Muscat time. Today, it turns out that in California, the Senate has passed a bill that will prevent employees from confronting shoplifters in the entire state of California. So if you live in California, you want some new shoes, you want some stuff, I guess just go for it, right? Just go for it. Why not? Now, all those fires that are in Quebec, and we've seen the orange skies come down to New York City. So everyone, it turns out, on the East Coast is in a panic. And here's what they say. Canada's wildfire crisis could be a preview of the future. Michael Mann, who is one of the most discredited people in the entire climate science field, says that the wildfire crisis is fueled by toxic climate change brew, everyone. It's a toxic climate change brew and could be a sign of far worse things to come. Here's a great one. This one is just excellent, right? I measured my 3 dogs' carbon paw print, right? It's not a carbon footprint when it's a dog. Remember, it's a carbon paw print. A whole new field is opening up, apparently. So she measured her 3 dogs' carbon paw print, and now they're going on a diet. The environmental impact of pet ownership has come under scrutiny. Can your canine's emissions be offset? So I think they're going to start taking those cow fart receivers and the cow burp receivers, and you could probably buy them for your pet. So just like you see people walking around with masks outside walking their dogs, pretty soon the dogs are going to have the masks too, is what I'm hearing. So that could be pretty cool, huh? We could be getting some of these things. Oh no, we got these people coming into our... Oh no, let's get this out of here. You are blocked. We're going to be blocking the hell out of people if this keeps coming. Block user, restream chat. See you later, losers. All right. So Canadians need to develop fire retardants. They got a lot of retardants. They don't have any lack of them. So here's what Business Insider. So everyone talking about the Tucker Carlson thing yesterday. We're going to talk. Am I a block here? You're not blocked. No, you're good, Zed. Good. I got a lot of more comments coming in though, so I gotta take it easy. So the Tucker Carlson, we're still doing Moscow time here. Oh my goodness. Oh no, I'm just blocking these. Sorry guys, you aren't seeing it. I'm getting a bunch of like the scammers on YouTube that are trying to sell stuff in the comments. That's all it is. I'm just seeing some stuff in the comments that is garbage. So I'm just getting rid of it. So no human is blocked, just people saying, we have a token airdrop. So I don't know. You're probably not seeing them. I'm not sure what you're watching on another YouTube or whatever, but I see them because they come in from all the different streaming platforms in once. So I see all the comments. So they're coming in a little quick and I'm getting rid of the scammy buy a coin stuff. So we should be fine though. Yeah, like I got this one here. Are you finding a way to start your own trading? DM me further. Bye. See ya. All right. Well, the spam is no good, guys. Look at this. How many are there? Well, I'm going to have to figure this out, guys. All right. So everyone's still talking about the Tucker Carlson thing and what's going on with Tucker and the news. And we're going to talk about that. There's a couple more Moscow Times things I want to get to. This is also from the same insider that was letting us know, Business Insider. Tucker Carlson is nothing without Fox News. And his sad Twitter broadcast debut proves it. Bitcoin Graffiti, you're not going to stop it. I'll do my best. I will do my best. Here's the best one, though. This is from Taylor Lorenz, right? She says, it's wild to see what a fish out of water Tucker is on the internet. No jump cuts, no background music, no catchy thumbnail or video title. Not sure how he's going to stack up against even an average streamer or YouTuber. So now you've heard all the numbers. They say he got 80 million views. Now everyone has had a lesson, I think anyway, in Twitter impressions and views. We're not exactly sure what the views are. Some people are saying they are in the 25 to 30 million range based on what some people have seen. It looks like Elon might have hidden the actual views for the video to leave some question and mystery, but I have seen the number surfaced from some people. It does look into the 20 or 30 million range. Now, that's just people who have watched a little bit, just 1 second of the video, so there is a little bit of confusion around it, but nevertheless, the numbers, just to give you a sense of dimension here, you get the CNN folks who had no more than 500,000 viewers, regular broadcast audience size for their primetime shows. And then the next one would be Tucker when he was with Fox, and that was sort of a 10x above CNN. So he was getting 3-4 million, where CNN usually gets 300,000, 400,000, sometimes 500,000, right? Depends on what's going on. The only success they've had was when Trump was the town hall guest, and that created a big media bonanza for them. But so even if Tucker only got, let's say, 15 million views of the show, he's still 3 to 4 times more than what he got when he was just at Fox. Now, what happened right away is after the broadcast. So a lot of people talking about the numbers, a lot of people talking about the style, a lot of people talking about even just Tucker's way of doing things, right? He's an expert in pacing and leading, and his technique for pacing looks very similar to let's say even Donald Trump, right? A real master of persuasion. And what it looks like is, he gives you we all knew the Nord Stream pipeline thing was, we all knew the truth and the media was lying. And now the dam in Ukraine and the Russia situation is the same, right? So he gets everyone on board, and then he throws in one where we're not really sure, and it's the aliens one, right? What about the aliens? We got the aliens, right? So just excellent persuasion. That's how it works, right? That's how you do it. The best persuaders and the ones that the CIA and the national security apparatus and all of these folks, that's how they do it, right? The people who are influencing the media, you give 2 or 3 free true stories, and then you mix in your fake one. And now, who knows if this aliens one is fake? And I'm sure Tucker is doing it for all the good reasons, which are audience size, interest, mystique, and all that stuff. I still don't believe we're going to see anything out of this ridiculous UFO alien story going around. I think it's exactly like what we saw back in the autumn. And I'll go back with my title for the breakup that day. We see UFOs because the US owes, right? So it's just a distraction. There are no aliens, guys. We're not going to see any aliens. Not going to happen. But I could be wrong. But just notice the technique. Notice how good Tucker is at that. And that's a way to introduce a new idea and to massage your audience a little bit to see what's coming. So everyone yesterday learning a little bit more about what viewership on Twitter looks like, audience size, lots of people talking about it. Now, right away after the broadcast, Tucker Carlson got sued by Fox News. So it turns out that Tucker was told by senior Fox executive that the next network's goal is to keep him sidelined until 2025, and that because he launched the broadcast, they're going to say he violated his non-compete, blah, blah, blah. So Glenn Greenwald comes in and says, this is pathetic of Fox. They fired Carlson, and now their position is he's not allowed to speak. He didn't go to a competing network. He was on no contract with Twitter. He's just speaking on social media. And to Fox, that's cause to threaten to sue him. They want him quiet. Ideology played a big role in Carlson's firing. He was increasingly at odds with the GOP establishment dogma. His primary targets, besides the CIA and FBI, were the Mitch McConnells and Lindsey Grahams, along with Biden's Ukraine war policy. Fox wants to reboost the GOP establishment. And Glenn puts it into further context. He says, Tucker Carlson is the most successful host in the history of cable news. Even in his stripped-down Twitter form, he attracted an audience almost no corporate media employee could get close to. It is possible this partially motivates the universal disdain they have for him. It's a little bit like, failed writers hate successful writers. It's kind of that logic. I have no doubt their unified contempt is ideological as well. Carlson most aggressively attacks the institutions they most revere, the CIA and U.S. security state, large corporations, the establishment wings of both parties. But maybe professional jealousy is also at play. And here's an article that Glenn Greenwald suggests we all read, which is the following. Read Freddie de Beer's classic essay on how miserable most corporate media employees are with their work, how the only thing they have left is in-group attacks on whoever thrives without them, and how they most hate those who succeed most in journalism. Now, it wasn't all good on the Tucker Carlson thing. Some people talking about the aesthetic. So a lot of people talking about the numbers yesterday. Cernovich brings up a couple good points, though, and I want to mention them. So this is what Cernovich said on his Substack. He says, Tucker's Twitter show and aesthetics. Twitter works on cable. Does cable work on Twitter? Tucker's first show on Twitter debuted to massive fanfare and page views. Some are claiming over 70 million people saw the tweet, and it's fair to speculate that over 10 million watched some or all of the monologue. And yet I'm bearish on Tucker if he doesn't upgrade production value considerably. He says that Tucker's show worked on cable news because it transgressed the medium he messaged from, and because Tucker is a class traitor, the latter being Trump's appeal. When someone who looked old money said things that were true and forbidden, massive interest followed. Now Tucker is rolling around with the rest of us, and he loses the benefit of saying controversial truths on a cable network that forces hosts to color within the lines. He's brought his cable news aesthetic to an online world. This isn't going to work after 2 weeks. Now, look, anything Mike Cernovich says as far as media, where things are headed, you got to pay attention. right? And I think he might be right about this, but he gives some, it's not just nihilism. It's not just him saying it's not going to work. He brings up some really good points. He says, Tucker's TV show always lacked high production value. Fox News, for its nightly shows, relies on an A camera on your face with a graphic in a pop-up box. This is boring and for old people. Yes, Tucker had the highest rated show in the target demographic of 24 to 55-year-olds, but many of us have more people read or listened to us from that demographic via Twitter every day. So what he's saying is the audiences are already bigger for people who are on Twitter than what Tucker managed to pull up there. So here's what Cernovich learned when he was making his movie Hoaxed. He says, Tucker's TV show always lacked, so that cable news viewership numbers are not impressive in an online world. Those numbers matter to networks because everyone from advertisers to the cable companies themselves agreed they mattered. And it was a lesson that he learned when he was making his movie. And basically, he learned that they kept telling the folks making his documentary Hoaxed, the crew kept telling them that if it's not a film, if you can listen to it like it's PBS NewsHour. So here he's offering some advice on what Tucker can do to make it good, right? So he's saying Tucker is going to need overlays as he reads articles. He needs different camera angles. He should be followed with 2 cinematographers who are getting B-roll constantly. Viewers are obsessed with behind-the-scenes footage. This works whether you're doing a VH1 documentaries on Tina Turner, UFC fight promos, 30 for 30, The Last Dance, or any compelling visual storytelling that creates an emotional connection with views. And here's what he's saying, that the best thing for him to aim for and to start breaking the mold, and I do agree with this. Honestly, I agree with this. This is what he has to say. During the show, Tucker needs the overhead camera angle zeroing in on news articles. Again, Alex Jones does this well. So he says, this is an example of Alex Jones' production value. It's cool and engaging. So what Tucker is more or less saying is that, what Cernovich is more or less saying is that Tucker should adopt the Alex Jones aesthetic. And I kind of agree, right? I think that's not a bad way to to see it. Now, it wasn't just that yesterday in the news. So we hear about the lawyer part, right? So just so you see a little more detail, they reached out to him. They didn't actually sue him. I might have said that earlier. That's not true. I might have misspoke. What really happened is the lawyers reached out, and it's becoming a story. And Tucker's lawyers responded with the following statement when they reached out to him. They said, Fox defends its very existence on freedom of speech grounds. Now they want to take Tucker Carlson's right to speak freely away from him because he took to social media to share his thoughts on current events. So we'll see what goes on with this. And if it turns into a legal fight, then that's fine. And Fox News has enough legal battles going on as it is with Dominion and all these other people. So if Fox News gets into financial trouble because of its legal predicament, well, what are we going to do, right? Because it fills into a few other stories that are going on right now, and we'll tie it all into why it's relevant for Bitcoin. And I'll even add a Canadian angle on it today. We're going to give you a Canadian angle. The one thing Canadians are really good at, and for not just painting your skies orange, by the way, we do other stuff. So yesterday as well, while all this stuff was going on with Tucker, we had the CNN CEO out, right? So he's gone. Chris Licht. We didn't even know his name, you know? Whoever learned this guy's name? But he is the guy who fired Don Lemon. He's the guy who fired Brian Stelter, right? So he went into CNN, changed a lot of things, but he's gone. And apparently what everyone's saying, and there's even articles, people saying it out loud, that the reason he's gone is because he had Trump on the town hall. The only success CNN has had this year. That's it. As far as ratings, if that's your game, ratings, that's it. That was their big success. So Mario Nawfal here was the first to break the news that I saw. And he said, this comes as CNN's ratings rapidly decline and infighting erupts post-Trump's town hall. Chris has been facing rebellion among many of CNN's talent and staff due to poor performance. Legacy media continues to struggle with Tucker's ouster from Fox, the Dominion lawsuit financially crippling Fox, Lemon's ouster from CNN, and now this. Are we witnessing the destruction of legacy media in real time? Will Twitter fill this void? So what and then, I'll even add one more story just to pile it on here. So Chris Licht out, CNN, big changes. Fox, big changes. Glenn Greenwald mentions a little bit about the CNN context, right? So what he's saying is media figures are flagrantly rewriting the history of CNN right before your eyes to make it seem as if CNN only started failing when Chris Licht was hired and demanded to stop being a DNC activist group. CNN was already in free fall and collapse when Licht was hired. Okay, so there's CNN. You're going to hear a bunch of fake news. Oh, it was this guy who did it, but it's been going on forever. The context with Fox, also financially in some kind of trouble. I don't really have visibility into their entire finances, obviously. Who knows how much money Rupert Murdoch really has? Who knows how much money Fox has made? I don't know any of those details, but it looks like they've got some issues. So here's the other one. This is the LA Times, right? The LA Times is eliminating 74 jobs, no big deal, but that's 13% of their total. So they're only working with like 1,000 people as it is. Decisions that result in talented staffers losing their jobs are agonizing, executive editor Kevin Merida said in a note to employees. We will be saying goodbye to some tremendous colleagues. So that's at the LA Times, right? So LA Times, now we know the Washington Post. I'm not sure if the sale was completed, but we know that Bezos wants out. I'm not sure exactly what's going on there. The New York Times, it is just the New York Times. Again, it's a private, who knows what's going on over there. It's not privately owned, obviously, but it is sort of a different situation, and we'll see what's going on. But look at these different media entities right now and look at their condition, look at the place they're in, look at the environment they find themselves in. Now, the way I read this and the context that I read this in comes from a lot of the Marshall McLuhan media theory frame. Now, I learned a lot about Marshall McLuhan when I was a college student, as many Canadians do. If you took any liberal arts education down in the United States, you probably learned about Marshall McLuhan as well. He is one of the most famous Canadian academics. He probably was the most famous Canadian academic before Jordan Peterson blew the mold on what a famous Canadian academic was all about. And so Marshall McLuhan, if you guys didn't know this is the one thing Canadians are exceptional in the world at, and that's understanding American media and surveying American media. And Marshall McLuhan is sort of the top of that. And now the reason is we're neighbors to the largest media entity, civilization, culture in the world. And that allowed us, because we had a front row seat in Canada, to understand all this. Whereas if you go to Europe, for example, they're a little too estranged from America and don't really get the inside story on what's going on, or at least have their own prejudices, their own stuff that limits their understanding of America. I realized that when I lived in Europe, how ridiculously out of touch Europeans are about what America is and what it's all about. So that's something Canadians are actually good at, right? One of the things Canadians are expert at is America, right? And that's probably a good thing, I guess. So Marshall McLuhan, his principal theory that he's known for is the media is the message, right? So that's his sort of slogan. The media is the message. And when he says the media, he doesn't mean the people who work in the media. He means the actual medium, right? So the medium you use, television, internet, email, Twitter, YouTube, the actual media you use is the message, right? Whatever words you put into it, not as important as the actual media itself. And he breaks media into two categories, right? So hot and cool, right? So hot and cool. And the definitions of those are the following. Hot media is that which engages one sense completely. It demands little interaction from the user because it spoon feeds the content. Typically, the content of hot media is restricted to what the source offers at the specific time. Examples of hot media include radio and film because they engage one sense of the user to an extent that although the user's attention is focused on the content, their participation is minimal. So Hollywood, for example, is one of the ultimate hot media platforms, right? Cool media generally uses low definition media that engages several senses less completely in that it demands a great deal of interaction on the part of the audience. Audiences then participate more because they are required to perceive the gaps in the content themselves. The user must be familiar with genre conventions in order to fully understand the media. So this can be, for example, internet chats. YouTube is much more cold media when it comes to actually curating your channels, getting through all of the mass, just the amount of stuff that's on YouTube. Just navigating that alone makes it a little more cool media. So so the Bitcoin Graffiti says the breakup is cool. Indeed, the breakup is cool media. Yes, this isn't the easiest form, by the way, in case you guys haven't noticed, to access, right? You got to come every morning and then you got to follow along. So it does have a certain amount of does demand a little bit of the audience. We're not doing the I talk at you for an hour and everything I say is what you should think. That's not the system here, right? We bring up points. I take interaction from the comments. We try to have a conversation. What I'm trying to mimic most here is a morning coffee with locals, right? So imagine you had a local coffee shop, and we have these all over the countryside, and some farmers come and they all gather there in the mornings and they chat about the world. And they all go about their days after that. That's what we're trying to do here, right? So it's a very cool media form, right? Where this is definitely cool media. But that's really where we're headed. The cool media really does accentuate Bitcoin time preference capacity, right? It really does put the whole time preference situation into a neat and tidy box so that you can see the contrast. And one of the things about hot media, for example, is that indeed we talk about it all the time. It breaks brains. It lights brains on fire, right? It lights brains on fire. And that's what you get with all this media, right? People are in a huff all the time about the trans, about the this, about the that, because the hot media thing, and Marshall McLuhan didn't really get much into that because dopamine and all of that stuff wasn't really as much of a mainstream subject back when Marshall McLuhan was operating in the 60s and 70s. So this idea that there's dopamine delivery systems that make the media more or less like drug dealers. And that's what I would say the hot media has become, just pure drug dealers, right? They're drug dealers. They get you excited about something. They make you self-righteous about something. It happens on both sides. Like Fox News invented the drug dealing aesthetic of cable news. They invented the drug dealing aesthetic of cable news. And everyone copied when they saw it worked, right? So Fox News, this is not a Democrat Republican thing. This is a where do you get your media from thing. And all of these hot media sources that are out there are hot because they put your brain on fire, right? That is what they're designed to do. And so we're dealing with all kinds of people right now whose brains are just charred and cooked. And that's why they're sitting there angry about this and angry about that, or even just buying the messages, right? Oh, we know what's going on in Ukraine and Russia. We know, we were told, we saw a movie, we saw the video, I saw it on video. For an entire generation, I saw it on video was enough to say it's true. We know now that that is the least true thing you can say. Just because you see something on a video means zero, right? It means nothing. Right? The videos can be faked. Now that we see AI coming online more and more, all of the capacity to fake videos, to edit videos. Now, remember, editing videos. You know how many people said that about Trump? I saw Trump say that there were fine people in Charlottesville. Yeah, he did say that, but it only makes sense if you strip away the context. The context was he denounced white supremacists entirely just about 10 seconds before. And then after he made the comment, he reiterated after that they were not fine people, that he was not talking about them. It's the same with the drinking bleach hoax, right? Who out there believes that Trump said the words drink bleach? Now, people, again, you can come across people whose brains are on fire all the time. And they'll say, I saw the video. I saw the video. Trump said it. And he never said it. You might have thought you saw the video, but what you heard was injecting a disinfectant, which is sunlight, into your lungs to kill things. And everyone knows sunlight's a disinfectant, right? Bleach isn't the only disinfectant in the world, and that was a real treatment, and he had just been briefed on it or whatever, right? But we know it's true. So we're dealing with a situation now where you get enough people have abandoned the hot media, have abandoned the brain on fire model of accepting your news. And there's an interesting thing brewing with these two crowds, right? And it goes into the situation in it goes into the situation with Coinbase and Gensler a little bit, but I'll back it up just one step before that, right? So right now we know, and now you're going to see a war between hot and cool media because they're both tackling a very similar story, right? So let's see who wins this fight. This is the interesting thing. We're going to have a head-to-head fight in hot media and cool media with very similar stories, and they look like this. So now everyone's been talking about the Biden corruption and the payments and the lobbying and all of this stuff, right? And so it turns out that there is an actual FBI file or a record, or who knows what to call it. I don't know if you can call it a case yet, but there's something going on. And it's the following. It is that the former Attorney General Barr confirmed that there was a Biden bribery record related to Ukraine. Lots of people on the internet talking about that. Again, every side can have their brain put on fire, right? So be very careful. You're going to hear a bunch of people saying they have proof that Biden is corrupt and all that. We don't know. We don't know. We don't know anything, right? Fog of war. But it looks like there is someone looking into it. And this is what Representative James Comer tweeted yesterday. The FBI is attempting a cover-up right before our eyes, and Democrats are doing their bidding by lying. AG Barr handed over the VP record that alleges a bribery scheme by then Vice President Biden to the U.S. Attorney in Delaware for further investigation. The record is not closed. So the prediction is this. You're going to see tons of cool media folks trying to get to the bottom of the story. Contrast that with the following story. And this is what the hot media, they're going to talk about this all summer. Here's a prediction. Because there's no news in the summer, they've got to come up with a hoax story. We know the hoax formula on Trump, right? But you need something to talk about because, they don't have their best talent. Hot media doesn't have the best dopamine drug dealers on air all summer. So they got to get the up and coming drug dealers onto the show so they can deliver the dopamine. They're not as good. So they've got to prepackage the dopamine outrage stories. And we can see from a mile away what it's going to be with Trump. It's going to be the document, the Mar-a-Lago. What did you do with the secrets of the world and the nuclear Armageddon? And what were you doing to help Iran? That was the big story yesterday. The hot media was trying to convince everyone yesterday that Trump was selling out America for Iran in the Mar-a-Lago document case, right? So the Post-Millennial has this story. Breaking, Biden's Department of Justice tells Trump he will be indicted next week on charges of gathering, transmitting, or losing national defense docs. So here's the prediction of hot media all the summer. It's going to be a bunch of unverifiable stories. But what if? Trump was somewhere and spoke to a person who was an Iranian something? It's just going to be a bunch of these what ifs. It's going to be like, when they do the multiverse, they did a what if Marvel thing on Disney, right? What if the girl got the super serum and not Captain America, and it was a Captain Britain woman character, right? What if a spider bit Peter Parker's sister? What would happen, right? So the what if thing is like a comic book trope, right? So the whole hot media is going to go into the comic book trope this summer. What if Trump had a deal and he had to because his ego? He could just throw the words out there and they'll work because everyone is prone to believe it. They've been gaslit so much on Trump over the years. They'll believe anything. Of course, he sold out America. He's an egomaniac. He's in it for his own. He wants money. He wants to be richer. He's not really a billionaire. All these things, right? So it's going to be the hot news trying their best to get people high on Trump Mar-a-Lago document management stories. It's going to be the whole summer, right? Meanwhile, the cool media is going to try and figure out if the president of the United States is involved in an actual bribery and blackmail scandal involving maybe the Chinese, maybe we don't know, but it's going to be an amazing fight. You get cool media with, I think, a pretty interesting story, maybe one of the most interesting stories we'll ever uncover, right? And remember, when I started talking about RFK, right? Why did I talk about RFK? Not because he was a Bitcoiner. I started to talk about RFK in November because we started to see the truth about the CIA and its involvement with the Kennedy assassination, and documents were coming to light showing the cover-up over years. And I said, not that I know the answers, I said the simulation says, right, Elon's razor, that the future outcomes are most easily predicted, not by the Occam's razor, the most likely and simplest outcomes. It's more the most entertaining outcome. And if you think about when America got into trouble, right, went off course, it was the Kennedy assassination. And from then, we've created all kinds of problems, and they came to fruition with the financial crisis. Because if you see how the Bank Privacy Act started, really knowledge and following the money really only began in 1964, when LBJ, the president who took over after Kennedy was killed, wanted to find out where all the protest money was coming from, because people were starting to protest Vietnam, which went right into action right after Kennedy was killed. So you get the situation where if we start uncovering the Biden corruption, I think it goes right back. I think it goes right back to Kennedy. I think it does. I think that's where the bloodsuckers and the vultures get into power in America. And when we peel this back, the cool media is going to find it goes right back to them. And the answer was follow the money. The answer to remain in our delusion after Kennedy was assassinated had everything to do with controlling money and protest and using psychological operations to massively persuade the population and to use hot media to light brains on fire all over the place. And so now that Bitcoiners have started the process of altering our time preference from being trained as debt-based consumers to gold standard, hard money, sort of longer horizon, work for the future, build a better future mindset, I think we have now the frame, the capacity, the curiosity to find out what happened. And we're going to. The simulation has simply put the pieces in front of us. And now RFK, from what I said, just, hasn't been quite a year, but from those 8 months ago or whatever it was, has become a full Bitcoiner, is talking more casually and familiarly about Bitcoin than any politician I've ever seen in my life. And so you get the situation where we're going to have almost the same story: government corruption, or corruption of presidents. And each of these two media forms, the hot and the cool, have their own story to follow. Which one do you think is going to make it to changing the world? Which one do you think is going to do it? Well, I don't have much faith in CNN's new CEO. Is the LA Times going to handle this? They're done. The New York Times, no one listens to them. Nobody listens to them. Now, Tucker, if he follows Cernovich's advice, if he starts getting into the Alex Jones aesthetic, I think we're dealing with a totally different scenario, right? A completely different scenario. And it even reminds me of what we're seeing with the Coinbase story. So it's not just the corruption of the politicians and the presidents, and which one and which media company, which media system will win the race to destroy that political entity. It looks very similar to what is going on with the Coinbase situation, because here's the Coinbase situation. It turns out that Gary Gensler, who is the head of the SEC, actually applied to work for Binance in 2019. I think I applied for that job too. No, just kidding. I did not. But I was an advisor to an exchange. So, that was a few years ago. But Gary Gensler, at the same time, the reason why I believe this right away, like instantly, is because Gary Gensler applied to us at CoinDesk. I was working for CoinDesk in 2019 in order to write for us at the same time. So he was trying to break into the industry, and he actually wrote for us. We actually hired him to write for us. Now, we didn't pay him. It was sort of guest things, and he wanted to build up his persona and the industry and all that. But you can go check CoinDesk. I think he only managed to get 1 or 2 articles out. But I remember engaging with him back then and saying, yeah, let's go, because he was at MIT. Yeah, it'll be cool. We liked him. He was into Bitcoin and da 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 da. So that's why it's believable to me, the 2019 thing, right? That's why, you could imagine Binance has put this into the court documents, but that's what was going on, right? So he applied, he wrote for us. He was in 2019 looking for inroads in the industry and wrote for CoinDesk. So we knew that, right? So now he comes out with all of this stuff, right, about Coinbase and this and that and da 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 da. Cynthia Loomis comes out with this statement yesterday: the SEC has failed to provide a path for digital asset exchanges to register, and even worse, has failed to provide adequate legal guidance on what differentiates a security from a commodity. The SEC's continued reliance on regulation by enforcement continues to harm consumers. Real consumer protection requires creating a robust legal framework that exchanges can comply with, not pushing the industry offshore or into the shadows. This is why Congress needs to pass the Lummis-Gillibrand Responsible Financial Innovation Act. So if you didn't know that, Gillibrand is the New York State senator, or senator for New York State, not a New York State senator for New York State. And so the bill that Loomis has is a bipartisan bill, right? So it's not even political. It's a bipartisan bill in order to get some clarity for these exchanges to operate in and function within. So the reason I bring that up is because again, you're going to get the weaponized autists, right? And I've mentioned that expression before. When 2017 rolled around and the 2016 aftermath of Trump winning was working itself through the system, I thought the biggest story of 2017, bigger than Charlottesville, bigger than all of that, was the 4chan bullying of Shia LaBeouf, which was one of the most amazing things you'll ever see, where they go and chase Shia LaBeouf all around America with his flag. So he tried to put up a Trump is a Nazi, some kind of Trump sucks flag or something stupid like that. And he started at an art gallery in New York with a camera on it and in Queens, but then everybody went up and ruined it. They started putting Pepe pictures everywhere, heiling Hitler in order to blasphemy the whole art installation. And so Shia LaBeouf got so annoyed, he started to hide the flag, and people found it. And in the end, this is the part that I said was the most amazing story. He hid it in some field in the middle of America and put the flag in the air and put a camera on the ground to look up at the flag. So you could see nothing but the flag in air. So it was very difficult to know where it was so that it couldn't be sabotaged again. But the autists on 4chan looked at the flight paths and the contrails behind the airplanes that flew overhead and were able to use that to map its location, found it, took the flag down, and again, continued the bullying. And I said, this unlocking of autists for Trump, or it wasn't even necessarily for Trump, it's for revolution. It's for blasphemy. It's to blasphemize the state as we've known it until now. These guys are, if you can weaponize these people, these autistic, crazy people, you can't lose. They're not dog on a bone stuff, right? Yeah, he will not divide us. Yeah, it was the he will not divide us. Yeah, which itself was divisive, right? So is the he will not divide us flag. So the he will not divide us flag showed that the cool media, and if there ever was cool media, it is 4chan memes and that whole world, right? Because you can't even, just getting started integrating into this thing means your autism level has to be, sonic capacity. You can't be a run-of-the-mill autist, right? You got to be like one of these high-functioning autists, not the autists who, are stuck in a corner licking their hand, right? Not those ones. The autists that are crazy about whatever it is they're crazy about, that will find these flags and do all these things. So the good news is within Coinbase, Bitcoin, and even in crypto. Now, here's a distinction I'll always make for the Bitcoiners who don't like the crypto people. Now, don't like scams, right? All kinds of low IQ people in crypto, all kinds of get rich quick type philosophy, very much hot media people involved over there, right? Really hot media people involved over there. But here's the thing. In so many ways, the Bitcoin world is D-Day for World War III. It's our efforts that can storm the beach and destroy the Federal Reserve and these institutions and change the world, right? And build a better one, right? Build a better one. Outcompete this old world we're trying to leave behind. And so I always believe that the crypto people, when needed, are going to join the Bitcoin people in order to do this event, whether it's breaking a currency or one of these things, right? I just think that in the end, we're on the same team, right? Even if you have a bunch of low IQ losers in crypto, there's enough people there that they can join the army when, no, that's not a physical army, right? We're talking about maneuvers and market manipulation, more or less, fiat market manipulation. So I think the peace will be made going forward. But the point is that there are enough of these low time preference, cool media consuming people, even in crypto, that combined together, we're going to be able to manage this whole like who's sitting there worried about what the SEC says about Coinbase? People are worried about their bags, right? They're worried about whether or not it's going to cause Coinbase any financial trouble. And it doesn't look like it will, right? So speaking of autists and cool media, hot media, all those things, the Bowtie Jungle, if you guys don't know about the Bowtie Jungle, I'll always recommend it. I interviewed Bowtie Bull at CoinDesk's event. The interview sucked in the end. Don't even bother. It's hard because he's got the he's not in person. He had the voice changer thing and blah 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 blah. So anyway, it didn't work out the way I'd hoped. But anyway, big fan of the guy. And he was covering, and so again, he divides his newsletter. He has, I think, one of the biggest newsletters on Wall Street, by the way, the Bowtie Jungle and Bowtie Bull. And Bowtie Bull's newsletter actually organizes the reading level by level of autism, right? So it's a sonic autist, a turbo autist. So you got to be like, in order to read what's going on. The lowest level autist is the NGMI, the not going to make it autist. So that's just like, buying real estate or something. Here's what he says, right? So he says that everything is going to come down. Coinbase has so much money, so much of a treasury, and he gives the numbers here. So based on all the documents released so far, the official prediction is right here. And this is what he's saying. Coinbase will be let off with a fine, a large one. And on top of that, they will likely be required to stop their staking program. The case they are making on wallets and assets seems to be pretty weak. If they somehow get that through, it would claim that all self-hosted wallets are somehow brokers. Makes little sense. Revenue math. When Q2 comes out, see if the revenue will drop to 400 or 500 million or so on a quarterly basis. If this looks to be the case, then the bonds are too risky. If revenues remain anywhere near $600 million, the company is going to be just fine, and there's not going to be any troubles. And that's what I see, but that's not where I want to head with this. Where I want to head with this is I think you really will see an appetite of users and the company itself to finally change their jurisdiction and go away from America. And then just do what everyone else does and just assume Americans know how to get a VPN, know how to use a VPN, and will indeed use a VPN to get around any of these rules. So literally, a VPN is all you need to beat the SEC. And if that is done at scale, right? If that's done at scale, they can't compete. So So there you go. That's what's going on. Now, there's, I guess, one other thing I want to mention before we get going, and that is in the same context, right? In the same context. Now, just watch feel this one, right? Think about it and feel it. Everything I just mentioned about cold media, hot media, the race between two stories of corruption, right? We'll see who wins. Of course, I think the cold one is going to win. And that comes with the Biden-Trump legal troubles. The Coinbase one, of course, the hot media. Oh, what about Coinbase? Oh, risky, right? The cool media folks are going to be like, where's my VPN? Move your office, get out of America, all that kind of stuff, right? So you're going to see two worlds, right? Now, here's the one I want you to think about. This is from, Tedros, the WHO guy, right? Now, I can't stand the way he talks. He annoys me as much as Trudeau with his accent. Tedros, whatever his name is, the Director General of the WHO. One of these people who comes from like a shithole bigger than Canada, right? A shithole bigger than Canada. Imagine that. And telling everyone in the world how they should live, right? He's been doing that since the beginning of the pandemic, which annoys me more than anything. So here's what he says. And now we know, right? So the UN's World Health Organization says they're planning a digitized international certificate of vaccination, a global vaccine passport. Could you imagine them at this, with everything we know about the world, the WHO and the UN trying to mobilize the hot media to sell you on a global passport? Now, I don't disagree. They're going to try. They're going to try. They might have got away with it a couple of years ago, but I'm not worried about it this time, right? These people don't have the autists on their side, and they got the Taylor Lorenzes on their side, and these aren't the people who are going to help them. So there you go. That's what I got for today. All right. Let's see what's going on. Well, glad that I got all these new comments up. That's good. Great. Let's see what I got. All right. Hold on. Whoa, it goes back further than I thought. Okay, you're blocked. Facebook, I'm not going back on Facebook. What a hellhole. I don't have Facebook, so I'm just using the paired one that I have. Really bad. Okay. Legal fight will be great theater. I think so. Yeah. Good at making Canadians, good at making your sky orange, right? They are. Okay. Let's see what I got. Disney absolutely creating. It looks like their money trouble is real. They might have to sell Star Wars, which I would be very excited about. I can't even watch it anymore. Netflix is the new Disney. I don't know about Netflix either. Why crypto too much down? Don't know, Malik. It was hell working with some. Get out of here. Was also pretty good. Yeah, BBC. Yeah, the old the breakup is cool. Yeah, cool. Best daily show in Bitcoin is finally on Bitcoin Magazine's YouTube. There you go. Thank you, CK. We love it. Like a Benjamin Franklin coffee house. That's an excellent compliment. Thank you, Bitcoin Graffiti. That is special. Thank you. People in America, when listening to radio, like to lean forward. People in like to listen back. Yeah, that's cool. Well, we're talking about all kinds of stuff. More face. Okay, Facebook's off tomorrow. Tide Pods are way better. People like to be told what to think. Find a source you trust. Yeah, I mean, they like to save time. I think that the deception of being lied to hurts more than the ease. So once you're embarrassed about being lied to, you won't trust that source anymore, and you won't go for the easy one, right? So that's the thing. The embarrassment right now is really what we're dealing with, right? The people who said out loud, "Oh, Putin controlled Trump," right? And I think it's been the case. It's been the cognitive dissonance blockage from mainstream media since 2016 that has put us in this position. They simply cannot handle what Trump did to them. He broke their brains, and so that's the problem, right? But now, um, when you're when you're when you're trying to push these messages and sell these new ideas, um, people are simply not going to buy it again if they get embarrassed, right? If they're embarrassed from having believed it, and that's where inflation comes in, right? That's where inflation comes in. That's where poverty comes in, because there's nothing worse than listening to people who made you poor, right? No one has fun staying poor and eating dog shit and crickets. When the people are finally eating the crickets, I think they're going to realize, right? I think they're going to realize. I saw it on video in the 90s. I saw it on video in the 90s as the fact checker of the 2000s. Yes. Get out of here, Facebook. This is done next time. I'm definitely not pairing that Facebook channel again. Trumped up charges, indeed. Yeah, ballin'. There's a good one that's from our YouTube, which we love. Sim says Bitcoin is headed towards, I don't know about that. It's amazing. Just learned that Corona gain of function goes back to 65, part of the same narrative starting with, I didn't know that. Yeah, wow. I didn't know that either. Interesting, Daniel. I'm going to look more into that. Some of this crap has some age to it. Yeah. Isn't it amazing? He will not divide us. Someone telling me that Richard Hart would shred on this show. Well, you're done, buddy. Bye. Oh, I hope I didn't get Daniel on that one by accident. Oh, no. Daniel, did I block you? I hope not. Oh, no, I lost all my reloaded comments. Oh, no, there we go. Oh, cool. Yeah, the blocker came through. Yeah, he didn't know about the "he will not divide us." It was, to me, the biggest story in 2017. I mean, we do these things at the time at CoinDesk. We do the year in review, like the top stories. That's the one I didn't get through. I didn't argue successfully, but because it was not related to Bitcoin or crypto. So, I have 2 dogs, but my Bitcoin is forever. That's why the Restrict Act is trying to put a $1 million fine and 20. Yeah, I saw that. Yeah. You're totally right, Spermwell. But again, it's going to be like the old CD. Remember if you use Napster, you're going to ruin your life. They can't do it. We need Coinbase so the feds can sell their common. Yeah. I hope you're right about the WHO. What they're trying to do scares the crap out of me. Yeah, it's scary, but don't be frightened by it. They're not capable. They're not capable. It might turn into a situation where you can't leave America for a little while because there's a lot of stupid countries they can do it to. But the good news is everything is in America, right? Deserts, beach, skiing. Indeed, we love smashing the like. Saw a New York Times ad that had footage of a stratosphere jump. They are Jared mentioning our Nuremberg 2 punishments for anyone new here, in case you never heard. The way we're going to handle the Nuremberg 2 punishments, I had a vision of this, is, remember they did to Tom Cruise, right? They made Tom Cruise sound like he was crazy because he was against Big Pharma and the pills and all that. So he's going to be the host. Remember when he practiced his jumping from airplanes, stratosphere jumps for one of those Mission Impossible movies? Now, remember the Red Bull guy who indeed did jump from space, right? And everyone tuned in. So if you're going to be doing Nuremberg 2 stuff, you got to get to the hot media, right? This is hot media, maximum hot media. We don't want to do like, oh, and then they killed him secretly in a back room. No. People can't forget. It's got to be watched and viewed by everybody. So we take him to space. Tom Cruise hosts, and he pushes them out of an airplane. And then we bet on the fall, and then how, if they hit the target, hang time. Everyone will watch. Maybe the New York Times will cover it. We'll see. Okay, you did not get kicked out. Good, Daniel. Thanks. I wasn't sure. The thing edged up right when I hit block, so that's what made me worry. You were next to the fellow getting blocked. The deep state does not want Biden or Trump and is working to disqualify both from that could be true. I know they don't want Trump. Biden, I think they're only worried about his ability to make it there. But we'll see. What is a VPN? I live in Hungary. It's a virtual private network. It's to get around the country restrictions for the internet, right? So, for example, YouTube works differently in Canada, so I need to use it when I'm in Canada because they don't like the cool media hosts. They want everything hot media. I like a positive outlook that alt corners will eventually see the light. We have to remember to stay civil to each other. Yeah, we really are all on the same side. I haven't even said only Bitcoin. No, I mean, look, truthfully, and this is what I always tell Bitcoiners. So because I come from such an early time in the industry, we didn't really have these divisions back then, right? And I'm also not I'm not chasing coins down, so I'm still taken seriously by Bitcoin maxis. Let's just call it that, right? I'm sure they criticize me or whatever, but I know enough of them, have tons of great conversations. And what I always say to them is simply this: the number one thing you need to do in protest of what's going on, I mean, it's the most effective thing, is to get rich. You got to get rich. It's the only way. I don't like saying that. I don't really think that your goal in life should be to get rich. But given the circumstances of the war we find ourselves in, you got to. You got to. And I don't care if we can conduct generational financial crimes on the boomers. You got to get their money. And if they want to buy a shit coin, what? I don't care. It's the same people watching all of this New York Times bullshit. It's the same people watching CBS News. It's the same people that think RFK is a conspiracy theorist, even though his daddy was killed, and his daddy's killer was killed, and his uncle was killed, and his uncle's killer was killed, and his uncle's killer's killer was killed. He gets to ask questions, but no, they call him a conspiracy theorist. So now I agree, you don't know whose money you're getting, but I'll tell you who's buying all these shit coins, right? Not the best people, right? A lot of these dumb boomers who, I don't care if it's their pensions or whatever, right? Now, I don't play these games, but I don't judge people who do. I don't, right? Everyone's got to try and get their piece. Put it into Bitcoin after, of course, right? Of course. All of this stuff is a scam outside of Bitcoin, or scam is the wrong word. Most of it is experimental, most of it is an outright scam. Some of it is experimental, which is fine, right? Cryptography needs experimenting places, and they can't be on Bitcoin. So that's the world we live in. Now, the generational financial crimes that are part of what's going on. Now, I understand why Bitcoiners complain about it. It looks bad on the outside, but we're not in that game here, right? We're not in that game. We're in a game of draining Wall Street as fast as we can. I'm an accelerationist, and I don't think Ethereum, for example, is a big enough scam. It's got to be much bigger in order to have a real effect. We can get it so big it can take down Wall Street. Imagine what a great story that would be if Ethereum grows big enough and then collapses and pulls the whole son of a bitch down with it. I'm here for that. I'm here for that. Like, sorry, I'm here for that. Right. There you go. So who knows? I could be right. I could be wrong. But that's how I see it. In the end, it's only Bitcoin, of course. It's only Bitcoin, of course. So let's see. How can Bitcoin withstand quantum computers? Oh, the old question. They haven't even been invented yet, really. So that's the main answer. It's not the quantum computer that can break Bitcoin is not in the world of engineering yet. It's in the world of science fiction. Whatever the engineers are working with can't break Bitcoin. That's not going to happen. It's what happens if there is some amazing scientific breakthrough and we find out a whole new way to make computers. And I wrote a science fiction story about that happening called Satoshi Wedding Murders. So it's not even that bad if it does happen. And you'll be seeing more about it. We might even hit 1,000 today. We'll see. Why did the PNQ show end? Well, it's not really ended entirely. They were at Bitcoin 2023 in Miami. They got to do an amazing band getting back together. I mean, look, the industry had a lot of trouble last autumn, and I hope their show comes back on air soon because I'm a big fan. I was one of the biggest fans. For fear of the SEC coming after them. It was. Oh, sorry, Robert Schmidt. Sorry, I didn't get the joke. Pardon me. I don't know. Sarcasm sometimes doesn't go well on the internet. VPN hunger. Be careful. Can capture all your internet activity. Shop around and do not buy from the first ad you see. Yeah. And drain the casino. Yeah, no, guys. It's got to be bigger. It got to be bigger. It's not big enough. We got to get it like in the $1 trillion range, and then it's okay if it comes down, right? There you go. I prefer collapsitarian. I never heard that. Collapsitarian. Not bad. Thanks for the hearts. I appreciate it. MD Nazmur Rahim Raza. I really appreciate it. Italy loves Bitcoin, and we get great maximalists and evangelists. We love Zuko. We love Frega. They changed my mind in the last years. Yeah, no, and they're some of the best maxis that I know. I'm fans. I'm a fan of Giacomo. Totally, and I've hung out with him many times, and get along with him. He likes my Ethereum theory. Right? He likes it. Bigger, more. All right, team, that's all I got for today. Thanks for joining. Glad we finally paired it. Let's see if I can figure it out tomorrow. Let's see how replicatable it is. It was an annoying thing to get done, but I think I can figure it out. All right. Peace.